Good evening. It was an emphatic speech by Prime Minister Modi today, the first time he has responded to the events surrounding the opposition and in particular what has happened to Rahul Gandhi, the conviction by a court in a defamation case, as well as his subsequent disqualification as Member of Parliament. The Prime Minister has said there is now a pro-corruption coalition that's being propped up by the Congress and the rest of the opposition. He is clearly drawing the battle lines for 2024. He wants to paint the entire opposition as a bunch of corrupt status quoists. The opposition says the Modi government is anti-democratic and there is a democratic backslide in India. The question is, and this is what is going to decide the battle for 2024, which of these two narratives will find more acceptance and more resonance amongst the people of India?
भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त जितने भी चेहरे हैं वो सब एक साथ एक मंच पर आ रहे हैं। कुछ दलों ने मिलकर भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ अभियान छेड़ा हुआ है।
All right, it was a no-holds-barred attack. The first time the Prime Minister has reacted to this entire controversy surrounding Rahul Gandhi, his conviction in a defamation case by a court in Gujarat, and of course his subsequent disqualification as Member of Parliament. The Prime Minister has framed it as a Bhrashtrachari Bachao Abhiyan, or a coalition of the corrupt trying to take on his government, which is working 24/7 for the nation. The opposition says that is the narrative the government wants to paint. The reality is that India is seeing a democratic backslide, capture of institutions, if you will. This is what the Prime Minister said, and then we'll open this up to our debaters tonight.
जो लोग भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त हैं, उन पर जब एजेंसियां कार्रवाई करती हैं, तो एजेंसियों पर हमला किया जाता है। जब कोर्ट कोई फैसला सुनाता है, तो कोर्ट पर सवाल उठाए जाते हैं, न्यायिक प्रणाली पर हमले होते हैं। सब देख रहे हैं, कुछ दलों ने मिलकर भ्रष्टाचारी बचाओ अभियान छेड़ा हुआ है। आज भ्रष्टाचार में लिप्त जितने भी चेहरे हैं वो सब एक साथ एक मंच पर आ रहे हैं। देश की जनता देख रही है कि पहले की सरकारों ने किस तरह भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ कार्रवाई के नाम पर केवल खानापुरी की थी, लेकिन पिछले 9 साल में भाजपा सरकार ने भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ जो अभियान चलाया, उसने आज भ्रष्टाचार और भ्रष्टाचारियों दोनों की जड़ें हिला दी है।
All right, so is this what is going to define the battle for 2024? As the Prime Minister puts it, on the one side you have a coalition of the corrupt, and as the opposition puts it, Mr. Modi's government is hell-bent on a democratic black slide in India. Let me go across to our guests who are joining us. Sanjay Verma, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Ghanshyam Tiwari of the Samajwadi Party will be joining us. Sanjay Jha, formerly with the Congress Party, now political analyst. Professor Badri Narayan, political analyst. And Rajagopalan R, senior journalist, joining us. Sanjay Verma, this is what the Prime Minister has said, that there's going to be a coalition of the corrupt that is seeking to keep its own vested interests in place. But the opposition says, if the BJP and Mr. Modi's government has nothing to hide on corruption, why are they shying away from a JPC on the Adani affair?
Zaka, let me make this very clear that on the 3rd of March 2023, barely a few weeks back, the Supreme Court constituted a 7-member committee under the aegis of Justice Abhay Sapre, who has earlier been the Chief Justice of the Guwahati and Manipur High Courts. And let me tell you that out of these 7 members, I can't think of anyone who's either pro-BJP or pro-Narendra Modi or pro-RSS, and I say this with a lot of responsibility. In fact, if anything, one of the key members of the committee is a bona fide congressman called Nandan Nilekani. Another judge who's part of the committee is Somasekhar Sundaresan, who's on the board of Oxfam, and as we all know, Oxfam till date has never had one positive thing to say about New India under Narendra Modi. But did you see anybody from the BJP whining, raving, ranting, sulking on national television saying, oh, why has the Supreme Court constituted a committee, which does not have any pro-BJP members? No, because we know that the courts will do what they need to do. And, the judicial process will take its own sweet time to arrive at the conclusions that it should.
Okay.
I just have this question to ask the opposition. I remember when the Supreme Court had not yet quashed proceedings against the Gandhis in the National Herald scam. This was in 2016 when the Gandhis said, no, we've done nothing wrong, and Supreme Court, please, you quash the proceedings against us. This is just a political vendetta by the BJP. Supreme Court refused to do it. The Gandhis again approached the Supreme Court in 2018. The Supreme Court again refused to quash proceedings against the Gandhis. My simple question is, if the Supreme Court has decided not to quash criminal proceedings for tax evasion against the Gandhis in the National Herald scam, why are you blaming Narendra Modi and the BJP?
Okay.
Similarly,
So no, wait, once again, I'll ask that to the others as well. Let me open this up to Ghanshyam Tiwari, Sanjay Jha. Ghanshyam Tiwari, whether you like it or not, fact of the matter is, every opposition party today has one or two individuals who are in a corruption dragnet. Just today you had a court, no less than a court, in Prayagraj pronounce a life sentence on Atiq Ahmed, who used to be with the BSP and earlier with your party as well, from Manish Sisodia to members of the TMC, members of other opposition parties, Shiv Sena, NCP, etc. There is a plethora of opposition leaders against whom there are corruption charges. Now, you may say the government is trumping this up, this is use of ED, IT, CBI, etc. But fact of the matter is, this is what is there in front of the people of this country. And as the Prime Minister said, the choice in 2024 is whether you want to choose this coalition of corrupt or whether you want to choose people who are working for the national interests.
Good evening, Zaka, to you, my fellow co-panelists and the viewers. It seems national interest is putting infamy and blot on Indian democracy by ensuring that more than 100, not 1 to 100 members of parliament and are from BJP in the present Lok Sabha who have criminal charges as per their own affidavit. In the last 5 years, there are over 500 people of such criminal eminence as per their own affidavit who have been fielded and posted by BJP, eventually leading them to become chief ministers, deputy chief ministers, minister of state for home, such as Ajay Mishra Teni, who have had, as per their own affidavits, criminal charges, not in one or two, in dozens, and criminal charges that relate to murder, attempt to murder, rioting, 420, and you spoke about Atiq Ahmed, the minister who's accused of 5 crore transaction with Atiq Ahmed. Let me name him, Rajagopalan Gupta. 419, 419, 420, 467, 468, 471, 504, 506. These are just some of the cases against this minister.
Okay.
So the Prime Minister wants to present himself as the Ram Rahim of politics. He is welcome to do that.
No, I take strong objection to this kind of language.
We all
Ghanshyam Tiwari starts every debate by abusing the Prime Minister.
One second, Sanju, I'll come back to you, Sanju. And let's refrain from personal attacks. Sanju Verma, I'll come back to you. Ghanshyam, finish. Yeah. Ghanshyam, please refrain from personal attacks. Yeah,
BJP is outraged on mentioning Ram Rahim when there is public knowledge about Amit Shah meeting Ram Rahim in the past. Their own mayors, even now when Ram Rahim is was on bail,
can we move on from that point? You made that point. Let's move on, please.
Abusive attacks against the senior leadership of the BJP.
Let's move on from that point, please, Ghanshyam. Thank you.
I'm saying that BJP has put a blot on the country by ensuring that a Prime Minister who's scared because he can't speak the word Adani, who's scared to reveal how much BJP received from Adani Group in the last 20 years.
Okay.
So scared.
You can't give him a free run.
One second, Sanju. I'll come back to you. You've had your say. Please have some patience.
No, what
Thank
had
you.
my say?
Yeah, 1 second, please.
Barely 2 minutes.
No, 1 second. It is an equitable debate. Everybody gets their time and turn. It's Ghanshyam's is now over.
My final statement is it is a shame. It is a shame that Prime Minister of India can go to a private channel and say it is India's movement when he was not able to come to the parliament because he was scared to answer questions.
Now, 1 second. Let me go to Sanjay Jha. Sanjay Jha, fact of the matter is, that the parliament session, at least the second leg of this budget session, has been entirely held up because of what Mr. Rahul Gandhi said abroad, and then subsequently his conviction by a court of law in Gujarat and his disqualification. But the moot point is, as Sanju Verma said, on the Adani issue, you have no less than a Supreme Court monitored committee probe. Now, either you don't have faith in the Supreme Court and the committee that it's appointed to look into this matter, or you're simply hell-bent on disrupting Parliament. So the choice before the people of India, as the Prime Minister put it, and this is the way he would like to frame the battle for 2024, is you have a coalition of the corrupt on the one side, and you have people who are working for Desh Hit, as he said it, on the other. So the choice is pretty stark before the people of India. What will you say to what Sanju Verma and other BJP spokespersons are saying, that, don't you trust a probe by the Supreme Court of this country?
Zaka, thank you very much, and I hope nobody interrupts during the program. I'll keep my answer very brief, I assure you. I thought Mr. Narendra Modi has a remarkable sense of humor. You got to be, having some audacity to talk on corruption at a time when the opposition has been actually talking about Mr. Modi coming in parliament and speaking on Adani. And you have, by the way, an embarrassing democratic disaster unfolding before our eyes, where the ruling party is not allowing the parliament to function. Their entire filibustering, we all know who is doing it. Why? Because the government is very insecure about the Prime Minister's status on the Adani issue. Now, your question is valid, okay? And I'll answer that. But before that, let me tell you that when Mr. Modi talked of corruption, and I saw his speech, only the excerpt of his speech on your program and another one I did before I came on your show, I was astonished because he doesn't even know that the Karnataka government of the BJP is called a 40% commission government. I got a WhatsApp joke that said that the commissions are so high that the BJP is calling it the Karnataka High Commission. I mean, come on.
May I come in?
So the simple answer, Zaka, is this. Your question is valid. There's a Supreme Court committee on the Adani issue. Fair enough. But look at the mandate or the terms of reference of that committee. I believe that the Supreme Court is the only institution in this country that is currently saving Indian democracy. We have to trust whatever the Supreme Court comes up with. But remember, the opposition is talking about forensic investigations. Rahul Gandhi is correct in talking about the shell companies, the tax havens. They are talking about share price manipulation. They are talking about accounting frauds. They are talking about the giving away of public assets to somebody who's become, 85% of his wealth happened in 3 years. Is unheard of.
But all of that, Sanjay, all of that is being probed by the Supreme Court. What more do you want?
It is not. Let me tell you, this is the problem. The Supreme Court is not, the committee is not going to look into each and every transaction and how Vinod Adani is sitting out there, whom earlier Mr. Adani believed was not a related party, and I believe they've done a U-turn on that. What's going on is absolutely a brazen, I would say, malfeasance. This is malfeasance.
Look,
involving
point is, and I want to ask this to Rajagopalan as well as, I want to get our political experts as well as to Professor Badri Narayan. Mr. Rajagopalan, the opposition can go on and on, Congress can go on and on about JPC on Adani and the government is shying away and Mr. Modi is scared, so on and so forth. What I really want to know is this having traction on the ground? As far as I understand, this is an issue between Mr. Adani, his group of companies and his shareholders and investors. Yes. Has there been loss to the tune of tens of thousands of crores? Yes. But that is between the investors of that company and the management of that company. This is not, other than 1% by LIC and 1% by SBI, there is no public money involved in these group of companies. Is this an issue, like the opposition is saying, this is the 1989 Bofors moment for this government? Is it?
Zaka, no, it is not, because it does not have a public traction. There is no groundswell for Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi has been damaged very badly. I am also sure that is Rahul Gandhi working for or canvassing for or echoing for GMR or GVK? There is an intelligence, competition. We have cooperative management problems. So therefore, to answer your question, it does not have any reflection on the public sentiments because it is a matter between Adani and the investor, and investors are happy. Now Adani company Sensex is doing very well. It did not go back or whatever that. Apart from that, Zaka, from today's Prime Minister's thing, I can, as a newsman, as a person who has observed BJP, Congress, CPM, ADMK, DMK, southern parties, I can say that Prime Minister has given a hint that CBI, ED will continue and it will be more aggressive. And moreover, when there is no confidence against Om Birla, the Speaker of Lok Sabha, on Monday, Prime Minister gave a befitting reply to that also, indirectly. And today, USA spokesperson said, Mr. Patel, saying about India. So Prime Minister gave a reply to that also. So in conclusion, I would say Prime Minister cheered up his cadre, those who have been, demoralized because opposition is stalling parliament. And for the sake of it, in the presidential thanks of address to Draupadi Murmu, Rahul Gandhi went on attacking Adani.
Okay.
Even during Bharat Jodo Yatra, he went on talking about Adani.
So,
therefore, is it Adani Koj Yatra or Bharat Koj Yatra?
So let me ask Professor Badri Narayan again. I keep coming back to this core point. Even on the Rahul Gandhi issue, the court conviction and the subsequent disqualification. Of course, the opposition is saying, what was the pressing hurry? This is proof that there is a democracy sort of backslide in the country. Institutions are being captured. Again, I keep going back. If you look at historically in Indian politics, the only time the issue of democracy being under threat became an electoral issue was after 75, when Mrs. Gandhi imposed emergency, and eventually in 77, in a national wave, she got voted out of power. The point is that other than that one instance, this has never been a vote-determining issue. Do you see that changing in 2024? Because the BJP can turn around, as they are doing now, saying, just a few weeks back, we had elections in 3 northeastern states, and in all of those states, there was more than 80% voter turnout. So where is the democratic backslide?
You are very right, Jaka. Actually, the democracy in India, the root of democracy in India is very deep. And it's growing, it's continuously growing and becoming deepened day by day. Pradhan Mantri usually talks about India as a mother of democracy. So democracy is not in that way crisis, because the Indian democracy is electoral democracy, and in this electoral democracy, BJP is constantly getting more and more votes and expanding itself. It means they are winning the heart of the people somewhere. Now the question of politics has come. There are 2 kinds of mobilization may take place in 2024 election, which we see. One is against corruption, which may be the BJP is a big slogan of mobilization against opposition. And there may be the opposition attack on the democracy as in crisis issue. So, but that the corruption in India, it impressed the people larger than any issue. Although corruption lies in the everyday life everywhere in a smaller form, and in a smaller form, not everywhere, in some of some spaces. But even then, Indian people morally are collectively against corruption. So corruption as a slogan, corruption as a political action, against corruption as a political action,
has more resonance.
BJP is trying to prove may impress public larger than any slogan.
So Sanju Verma, be that as it may, and I agree with Professor Badri Narayan, but the point is that for the first time, even parties that were not necessarily on the same page with the Congress, TMC, BRS, Aam Aadmi Party, are all seemingly presenting a united front after what happened with Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Now, you can argue it is a court's decision, it has nothing to do with the BJP, but once again, what the opposition is saying is, this is exactly what Mr. Gandhi and the opposition have been saying all along, that look, there is a problem. Democracy is taking a backseat in this country. Whether or not it's a court decision or otherwise, all opposition parties seem to be now coming around to that, including parties that were not seeing eye to eye with the Congress, TMC, BRS, UP, etc.
Zaka, that was a very lengthy question. I will get 2 minutes to rebut that. First and foremost, let me tell you very clearly that when the Prime Minister says, na khaunga, na khane dunga, he has walked the talk. I will just, answer your question with a couple of examples which prove my point. The Congress, panelists here said, look at the commission government in Karnataka. They are called a 40% commission government. We removed K. Ishwarappa, the Panchayati Raj minister, last year after charges were leveled against him. Though those charges were never proved, he's still not back in the Karnataka cabinet. Whereas I asked the Congress, In 2018, D.K. Shivakumar was reported to have hidden 700 crores worth of cash, jewelry and Benami assets, and a case is pending against him since 2018, a PMLA case. Does Congress have the guts to remove D.K. Shivakumar as the Karnataka Congress chief? Point number one. Point number two, I also want to tell you this. This whole debate about, Nirav Modi was being protected by Prime Minister Modi. The extradition of Nirav Modi and Vijay Mallya is pending. They have lost their cases in every court in the UK, right from the district court to the Westminster Magistrates Court to the UK High Court. And should I tell you one thing which not many people are discussing? Sam Guzzi, the judge at the UK District Court, actually chided in very harsh terms Abhay Thipse, a Congress leader who refused to divulge that he is a congressman before taking on Nirav Modi's case. Congress spokespersons come and talk against corruption on television channels, and Congress leader Abhay Thipse is busy supporting Nirav Modi in London.
But ma'am, these people that you referred to, ma'am, these people you referred to are still in the UK. Why are they not being brought back to India to face justice?
Zaka. You did not interrupt. I will finish in 30 seconds.
Fair enough. But please answer my question also. Please answer my question also.
Let me finish in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Now coming to...
When will these people come back to India and face justice? Please answer. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, these people will come back to India and face justice, just like Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi will also face justice, no matter how much they cry about being, victimized. I just have this to say. Ghanshyam Tiwari said, Modi Sarkar aisi hai. He made abusive comments against the Prime Minister and Home Minister Amit Shah. To remind Ghanshyam Tiwari some facts, Atiq Ahmed, who was a member of parliament on a Samajwadi Party ticket from Phulpur between 2004 and 2009. I just want to ask him one question. Why is it that despite being in power for the longest time in Uttar Pradesh, Akhilesh Yadav could not put Atiq Ahmed behind bars using the UP Gangster Act? How is it that for the first time in 44 years, a notorious criminal like Atiq Ahmed has been sentenced to life imprisonment by the MP and MLA court of Allahabad using the
so
UP Gangster Act?
Ghanshyam responds, Atiq Ahmed, Mukhtar Ansari, all of these people have been associated with your party in the past. Yogi Adityanath says, inko mitti mein mila dunga. Today, a court of law for the first time, I don't know if there's a previous instance of a former member of parliament being sent to a life term, has been sentenced to a life term. You could have done this. You were in power for 5 years. Why didn't you do it?
Zaka, in 2018, Times of India published a headline saying Atiq Ahmed will be the Hanuman for BJP in Phulpur Bypoles Assembly, a seat vacated by the current Deputy Chief Minister, who, by the way, has a scorecard of criminal charges against him, including one related to murder. This is the stature of BJP and crime control. As far as Atiq Ahmed is concerned, if you look at the past instances, if you look at the charges which are being made about rupees 5 crore with respect to Gopal Nandi, if BJP was serious about even their claims, forget the truth behind it, they would have asked the minister to resign and would have interrogated the minister. But what are they doing? They are celebrating as if this one case will take away the infamy and blot. For example, the Vidhan Bhavan, where the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh made that striking speech that mitti mein mila denge. In the same Vidhan Bhavan, BJP has sent over 111, not 111 MLAs with criminal charges. As per their own affidavit, it is a blot that a single party is able to strike century. And sometimes double century, sometimes
the perception is that your party gave breeding ground to the likes of Mukhtar Ansari and Atiq Ahmed. Today, the BJP under Mr. Modi and Yogi in Uttar Pradesh is uprooting those criminal elements from Uttar Pradesh.
Exactly.
Well, in 2022, 3 crore people voted for Samajwadi Party, 3 crore 80 lakh people voted for BJP. The perception is Mehul Bhai for BJP, and the truth is Mehul Bhai is now free to go around the world with his thousands of crores earned by this fraternity. The reality of Mehul Bhai, Nirav Modi, someday will turn the perception of the corruption that BJP has unleashed while Prime Minister gives all these nice speeches. The corruption unleashed through electoral bonds, through the Narendra Adani saga, to the Mehul Bhai Nirav Choksi saga, and to through
So,
many
so
many
Sanjay,
such
okay.
episodes.
So Sanjay Jha,
Will
the
turn
contrast
turn
here
into
again,
public very soon.
the contrast here again is that no matter what you say against Mr. Modi and the attacks against Adani and, Mehul Choksi, Nirav Modi, etc., the fact of the matter is that any allegation of personal corruption against the Prime Minister has not stuck. We've seen that over the last 9 years, whereas the perception against leading Congress lights, including members of the Gandhi family, is that they are corrupt. In fact, this standard line that the BJP keeps saying, which has now been etched in public memory, is that both the Gandhis, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, are out on bail in the National Herald case.
Exactly.
Now, that is something that you're not able to shake off, despite everything that's gone around Mr. Gandhi, whether it is his disqualification, his conviction in a defamation case, all of that and more. That perception you've not been able to shake off.
Well, Zaka, I think a good question, but let me tell you that's exactly what is changing. And you can see the paranoia actually in the BJP and Mr. Modi as well, that they are actually today becoming more authoritarian. They are trying to clamp and attack the opposition. You see, by the way, let me predict to you, you see more ED, CBI, income tax harassment. This is going to get even worse as the BJP begins to anticipate not just pushback, but a potential defeat. And I can tell you, watch for Karnataka results. I'm getting a lot of, very, very interesting feedback from Karnataka. But let's answer this question on the BJP. The truth, Zaka, is this. If Mr. Modi really had a courage of his convictions, instead of speaking to his own band of boys and the women there, due respects to them, he should address a press conference. I mean, this is a great democracy, right? The mother of democracy, right? India deserves a prime minister, Zaka, who addresses the press. You can't be so scared all your life and read off teleprompter and do choreographed interviews and let him then address the Adani issue. I will say hats off to him if he can do that.
Okay.
Second question, 95% of the opposition leaders are under attack by the ED and CBI. You know about the Indian Express survey. The BJP is now bigger than the LG, Samsung and Bosch as the great washing machine of India. This is not the way to run a democracy. With due respects to Mr. Modi and the BJP, this is not mother of democracy. This is murder of democracy.
Okay, so Mr. Rajagopalan, in a year when India is hosting the G20 and India is being called the mother of democracy, this report about the number of ED cases in the last 9 years, over 1,200 cases have been filed, 95% of it against opposition leaders. Does that not cut eyes? Does that not stand out like a sore thumb against this whole narrative that the Prime Minister and other leaders of the BJP are pushing, that it's the opposition that's corrupt, this coalition of the corrupt, as the Prime Minister put it? Because this is what the opposition is citing, that 95% of the cases of ED are against the opposition and the conviction rate is less than 1%.
But whatever you say, Jaka, Prime Minister has a connect with the masses. That is why he is winning after winning after winning. He claimed that Tripura elections, there are 4 chief ministers from northeastern states. Apart from that, Jaka, Karnataka election is going to be a turning point in Indian politics. The BJP is doing well, and moreover, Narendra Modi has got his own 4 or 5% vote to his credit. So that is going to swing in BJP's favor. Whatever other persons may say, the ground reality is, in Karnataka, I was in Karnataka for 3 or 4 days in Bangalore, Mysore and other places.
Okay.
I did not get any impression about that hidden report or Adani or, for that matter, disqualification. So therefore, there is no groundswell for the anti, whatever that Congress may say now. My understanding is the Prime Minister's speech is to put a forth for 2024. And ED, CBI will continue further to expose the opposition and dynasty rule.
I'll give the final word to Professor Badri Narayan. 1 minute, I've got to wrap up. Basically, the moot point will be, right now, of course, the opposition, there is some degree of unity, at least on the face of it. TMC, BRS, AAP, etc. seem to be rallying around Rahul Gandhi. But how long will this last? When push comes to shove, when it comes to the heat and dust of the 2024 campaign, ultimately, will the opposition parties be willing to give up some of their claims, some of the seats, in order to find the best candidate that the combined opposition can put up against the BJP? Or will this newfound unity that we're seeing over the last 3-4 days or so, because of La Affair Rahul Gandhi, will that dissipate quicker than it appeared?
Jaga, what I observe, what I see, that this it's very difficult to maintain unity among opposition because till 2014 election, because 24 elections, because they have their own self-interest, and mostly what Pradhan Mantri termed is a family-run party, family-owned party. So and they are regional forces, so they have their own contradiction with the Congress, and Congress is a national party. So there are regional contradictions, and then the contradictions of the self produced by the self-interest. It's very difficult to maintain unity against BJP, and that's the edge which BJP gets. Because opposition, it's very difficult to remain united in India.
Let's see how this plays out in the run-up to 2024. For now, the framing of the narrative going into the big electoral contest, at least the way the Prime Minister has presented it, is you've got the coalition of the corrupt on the one side. The opposition is claiming it is the democracy versus anti-democracy battle. Let's see which of these two narratives will be sort of bought by the people of India in more numbers, because ultimately in a democracy, it's about capturing the hearts and minds and the imagination of the people. And then, of course, the next step, which is getting their votes. The other big story tonight is